the knowledge that we are gifted through and lifted plays, in my opinion, very, very nicely with the Steel Mace Flow practice. I am constantly looking for ways to integrate the two. I see a strong connection between movement and mindset, and Steel Mace Flow provides a really, really great way to explore that. A big part of the message that I try to bring to the people that I work with is that what we practice in movement will manifest itself in our mind and spirit. So something I've been talking about in my classes this month, especially, is the idea of balance. And that is, when we think about balance, physically speaking, we might think about things like getting up on one leg. How long can you balance in one position or from a position of compromise? And what happens in your body when you are compromised, when you're half of your balance is taken away. Typically speaking, we rock back and forth. We get a lot of like contractions of muscles as we try to reestablish balance, and something very important goes away.
What's that?
Our breath. So something that I've been working with my students a lot over the last month is breathing into balance, creating stillness in our bodies when that becomes compromised. Because I firmly believe that if we practice balance in a physical state, when we find ourselves in a place in life where we've been knocked off of our balance, an event jars us emotionally or mentally, those same tools that we use to stabilize ourselves physically will help us stabilize ourselves mentally and emotionally as well. And a big one of those, of course, is breath.
Happy Friday, youth developer. I'm here with my friend, fellow enlifted coach, and my personal Steel Mace coach, Jeffrey Ochs. Woo! Stay tuned. Welcome to the Youth Development.
Thank you so much for having me, Patty. I appreciate it very much.
Yes, I know we've been talking about having you in the channel. I stalk you on Instagram. I love all your Steel Maze moves, especially when you're out. And are you in your backyard, or do you actually
It's
go somewhere?
it's a wooded area in the like the neighborhood that we live in, and it's fortunately, I'm one of the only people that ever uses the wooded areas. It's actually shared by three neighborhoods, and the only other time I see people out there sometimes walking their dogs, or there's a group of kids like after my own heart that I occasionally see out there in this little range they've created with a that they shoot cans with their BB guns. So like every once in a while I stumble upon them and like to observe from hide behind the trees, wait for them to leave, and then I take over their little range, and that's actually like one of the spots that I like to film at.
Yeah, I love it because you've taken us there in the snow.
Yeah.
Lately, it's been windy, I see.
Yes, yeah, it's all about getting out in the elements, snow, wind. I'm waiting for the most challenging element there is, and that is beautiful sunny weather.
That's challenging. Well, I
No,
guess.
it's not. It's just waiting for it. The challenge is the wait.
How hot, warm does it get in Michigan?
It can get, pretty warm. I mean, it's in the peak of summertime, we will approach, the high 90s, low 100s. But we're also blessed with a high degree of humidity based on the Great Lakes. So we get that perfect combination of like hot and muggy that most people hate, but for some reason, I love it. I thrive on it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't like humidity at all. I used to live in Florida for about 7 years, like my senior year in high school, and then my first 2 years in college. And no, I'm done with humidity. I
Yeah.
mean, because when it's cold, you can layer up. But when it's hot and it's humid, what else could you do?
Only take off so much before it's, either a trip to jail or the hospital.
Exactly. Awesome. Well, I'm so happy to have you. And as you know, and the listeners know, this is the youth developer, meaning that we believe the best form of youth development is by us, the adults, living life to the full, by God given potentially your spark. And you, my friend, I know Steel Mace is one of them. So can you share a little bit, like even like how did you even get started and why Steel Mace?
That's a really good question, and one that has a many answers depending on the audience. So what I will say is that since we're talking to a population of people who work with the youth, I'll focus this on relating to my inner child. I grew up um, like most kids of our generation playing outdoors with a lot of rough housing. When we didn't have a lot of in the way of outdoor toys. So that one of my rituals was anytime I'd go out into the woods, I would find the perfect stick. And that stick would be my ninja sword for the day, my bow staff for the day. Um, Depending on what group of kids I was playing with, it might have actually taken the form of a gun. But most of the time for me, it was a ninja weapon of some sort.
Wow.
So basically, I found Steel Mace because I just have continued to do this all of my life. Whether it was in martial arts training, and you may see back right over here, I've got a crate full of random sticks and objects that I've been tooling around with for many, many years. So, fast forward to being in my 30s, having kind of removed myself from martial arts due to some long-term injuries and et cetera. Not fully removed, but just taking a little bit of a step back.
Yeah.
I was also heavy into like powerlifting and very much living in the in the yang and the hard style. So after a couple of injuries and wanting to change up my training a little bit, I looking into various unconventional training implements, started to see a parallel between the the things that I used to love playing around with when I was a kid to what was becoming popular in the unconventional training world. So around 5 years ago, I became aware of the steel mace and
Wow. Wow.
immediately got one. Yeah. Yeah. So it's been a 5 year thing. Actually, I think we're 3 days away from the anniversary of the arrival of my first steel mace.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. You said martial arts. Is that like Taekwondo? What kind? Like,
That's where I got my start. I got my start in Taekwondo when I would think I was about 10 years old. And I stuck with that through until I was old enough to become interested in cars and girls. So around 16, 17 years old, I started to drift away from it a little bit. Then when I got into college, I started taking elective karate classes and Tai Chi classes. And just kind of kept my toes like in the water, so to speak. But it was a little bit later, maybe when I was 26, 27, I started to get into get back into getting into a dojo. And I started with a martial art that is Japanese and fairly comparable to like Taekwondo, more about the practice and the discipline than the actual like self-defense. But the cool thing about it is that we got to use ninja weapons. So I started to get some legitimate training with swords, that really added on to the skills I developed with sticks when I was a kid. And from there, I kind of stepped into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as well. So that sums up my martial arts experience. I stayed in Jiu-Jitsu. I still consider myself a practitioner, though. It's been a little while since I've been on a mat ahead of a couple of injuries and surgeries over the last few years. So I'm getting ready to get back on probably in the next 6 months to a year, all things depending.
got it. We're gonna have Jimmy watch his video. His whole journey started at like 6 years old in Taekwondo. So he has like the cutest pictures. I actually have one here, but he'll kill me if I show it. And I love it. It's him in his first I want to say it was yellow belt. He's so tiny. Wink. Inside joke, everybody. So adorable. And yeah, and he started at the YMCA in the basement of this building just around our house. And he did also get that knee injury. So yeah, he was gonna go there for like he was training for the Olympics. That's how much he loved it and how passionate he was. I knew you had more than just Steel Mace picking it up, just that because I don't know if I told you, my nephew and my niece, I do Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, like magic movement, and I send it's a Zoom. People, any woman can join me to work out. And my sister was feeling under the weather, so the kids were like, I'll do something with you, Tia Patty. Tia, for those who don't speak Spanish, I mean auntie. And I was like, join me. And I don't know if you've seen the pictures. He found his bow and arrow. My niece found a stick, and it started following you. It's the cutest thing.
That is a beautiful thing, and I'm glad you brought that up to circle this back to where I started. Part of the
Yeah.
reason that I fell so hard for Steel Mace and then into Steel Mace Flow is because it reminded me so much and connected me to that space of being in my youth and using things like arrows to simulate something that it wasn't. So it does very much connect me to that inner child. It's actually been very healing in that regard. As we grow and we put those youthful feelings of being carefree and such on the back burner in order to deal with things like adulting and real life. This practice very much connects me to the inner child who's been there the whole time and waiting patiently for an outlet.
Yeah, this whole I love what you said, unconventional, and you were looking for the unconventional, what did you call it? Workout or
Yeah, I was really looking for something different, something that was going to be restorative as opposed to beating up my body. I spent a
mhm.
lot of years beating myself up, um, you pursuing competition in jujitsu, pursuing heavy deadlifts and things like that. That just they put a toll on your body.
Yeah, so you definitely were not in the whole work hard, play hard, or no pain, no gain kind of. Well, I mean, you probably were.
Was absolutely I was. I've since extracted myself quite
Mm.
emphatically from that mentality. But yes, I absolutely. I mean, I would walk around, with the DOMS, the delay onset muscle soreness, and your legs hurt and you can barely walk, and we'd laugh about it. It'd be a joke. It'd be like we're proud. The joke is always that going up the stairs after leg day is easy, but getting down the stairs, that's the tough part. And we'd wear that like a badge of honor. Anytime you were so sore from your workout that you could barely move, it meant that you did something right.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I I have been always been complaining about my workouts because I'm glad I was listening to my body. And it had like a plus and a negative because I will give up too easily from my workout. So I will join a CrossFit gym and then I'm in pain for 3 weeks and I'm
Mhm.
like, forget it. Or I will do something and I'm like, just forget it because so I'm learning a lot more about, not just water, but minerals in our water and having the electrolytes to really help me. And then walking, because after doing Steel Mace with you, what really has helped is just walk after. Yoga, obviously, but walking and being out there in nature, talking to the Hanito, it has helped a lot. So yeah, but I thought, we're 80s, 90s kids, so of course that was totally no pain, no gain. So yeah, it was there. So I must have been. So did the change happen before you didn't lift it? Level 1 and 2, or did you have this shift uh maybe 5 years ago when you picked up Steel Mace?
Yeah, very good question. Yeah, this shift started probably about 5 years ago.
Mm.
I would say it actually started a little bit before that because it was a journey even to find the Steel Mace. So I'd really set off to get into a healthier habits as far as like my training went. Probably around 6 years ago is when I started to really dive down the path. And even before I found the Steel Mace, the trainer I was working with at the time, a great friend of mine, um, had introduced me to steel clubs. So that was actually my first foray into it. And while I liked the clubs, I didn't connect to them quite as much. Once I got a mace in my hands, something really clicked. Some synchronicity of movement and what was happening inside of here and in here, um, really like took a hold.
Mm, gotcha. And how did you end up in Lifted? How did you connect with Mark England?
I connected with Mark because I had gone through the strong coach,
Oh, you're a
and
strong
near
coach.
the near the tail end of my class of the strong coach, they had just finished production on Enlifted. So I was able to have access to the 21-day enlifted athlete course. And then when I became aware that Mark was doing group facilitated groups back in December, this would have been like 2 years ago now, I think.
2019.
Yeah,
December
December of
2019.
2019 was when they were recruiting for the class that I was in, which I think was class 3,
Okay.
level 1. So
Who are you with? Who was in class 3 in level 1?
who was in class 3 and level 1? We had rock stars like Coach Clint was in there.
Mm.
Karan was in there as well. We had Eric, Tyler, Sandra. I'm gonna feel really bad if I forget anybody.
Put you in the spot.
It was a small group.
Well, that small group has been in the youth developer. Karan and Clint have been in the youth developer.
Wonderful.
Isn't that cool? Look at you, class number 3.
Yeah, actually, it was kind of funny. Clint, Karan, and I, we had all studied the Steel Mace, so we had aware of each other based on that. And when we each found out that the other two of this little like trio at the time were in and lifted level 1, we were like, okay, I'm in the right place. Like I remember once I found out that Clint was there too, I was like, oh, this is good. This is good. This is a good sign. So.
Yeah, cool. And then we've been together in level 2, and now we're in level 3, about to graduate.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right. We've got a call coming up this week, and then then graduation.
our one-on-one, and then it's graduation. Yeah, I'm excited. Jimmy's gonna have his one-on-one with Mark for level 1 this Monday. I'm like totally talking about him here. I'm keeping it. I might yell over so you can come over and say hi.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it. I mean, the knowing how someone's journey, it's so interesting to me, and I love to share this in this channel because we are not born to be good at something like just overnight. That's a myth. To become excellent or disciplined overnight. This is a practice. This is over time. And it's so neat because when you made that decision to seek for unconventional training, just a year after, there goes Steel Mace, and then Steel Mace leading you to Strong Coach, and right after is Enlifted. Right? Like it's like all the connections, and then here we are.
Here we are,
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
very, very cool and beautiful things, combining that, the knowledge that we are gifted through and lifted, plays, in my opinion, very, very nicely with the Steel Mace Flow practice. I am constantly looking for ways to integrate the two. I see a strong connection between movement and mindset, and Steel Mace Flow provides a really, really great way to explore that. A big part of the message that I try to bring to the people that I work with is that what we practice in movement will manifest itself in our mind and spirit. So something I've been talking about in my classes this month, especially, is the idea of balance. And that is, when we think about balance, physically speaking, we might think about things like getting up on one leg. How long can you balance in one position or from a position of compromise? And what happens in your body when you are compromised, when you're half of your balance is taken away. Typically speaking, we rock back and forth. We get a lot of like contractions of muscles as we try to reestablish balance, and something very important goes away:
What's that?
our breath. So something that I've been working with my students a lot over the last month is breathing into balance, creating stillness in our bodies when that becomes compromised. Because I firmly believe that if we practice balance in a physical state, when we find ourselves in a place in life where we've been knocked off of our balance, an event jars us emotionally or mentally, those same tools that we use to stabilize ourselves physically will help us stabilize ourselves mentally and emotionally as well. And a big one of those, of course, is breath.
Yeah. I remember when you and I got together on our one-on-one, I was like, oh, my lower back, the pain, the pain. And you had mentioned about balance, and then also being aware of the language that I was using, because that pain means it's a signal, right?
Right.
And so instead of saying, "Oh, I'm so I have a pain in my back," I had translated that and I put, "I have a signal that my back is telling me," right?
Right.
That is sharing, and it did. You asked that question. Perhaps something is off balance, and it's like the finance was the first word I said, and I was blown away, and it was putting that attention. Okay, so what about finance? And we hired, I don't know if you know about them. It's called Inside Tax. So shout out to my tax people. Yes, you guys rock. And they go by they do Profit First, the book that I'm
Mhm.
currently reading.
Yeah. Yeah.
And wow, Jimmy and I were like, I mean, who do we think we are? Like, we could do this by ourselves? Of course not, right? We got properties, we got all these things, and we thought we could handle in this shoulder. I know it's a broad shoulder, but no, not for all that craziness. So, thank you for I mean, because you're the one who asked me the question. It's something off balance,
Yeah.
right?
And the way you even said that, and I want to acknowledge that when you said, I think it was that I have a pain in my back, even that is a step above, or really a higher level acknowledgement of the language surrounding pain than what I hear in a lot of people. For instance, I've got a gentleman that I work with, who I hear the statement, "I've got a bad back," or he talks about his, and he'll use some expletives when he's talking about it. It's like my back. And so just to say that I have a pain in my back as opposed to saying that I've got a bad back is higher level. And we actually had a great conversation about it this week where, we talked a little bit about his back and the things that his back allows him to do. And yes, he experiences pain in his back, and that is something that is likely not to go away in the course of his lifetime. But the reality is that his back allows him to do some pretty incredible things as well. He's a cycling enthusiast. He's in extremely great shape. He's a beautiful Steel Mace Flow artist as
Wow.
well. So his back allows him to do a lot of wonderful things. Yes, he experiences pain sometimes, but it's important that when we talk about these things and we acknowledge these things, that, we bring it to the experience level and not necessarily the possession of this compromised piece of structure. And the language that we use surrounding pain and injuries is huge, and something that gets addressed in the way in the Unlifted Athlete as well. And I'm so thankful for that because it was very formative in the way that I approached, knee surgery and recovery this last summer.
Yeah, Avery was with us a few months ago and a youth developer, and she did talk about people saying it's my diabetes, right? They claim that disease or that whatever they have instead of saying it's the, right? And just changing mine to the or it's huge, right? Because having a bad back, I mean, that's not you were created with the back that's gonna support you.
Right.
Right, that's where it comes, right? Yeah, you got my back, right, that's what it is. You got my support. So I love that. That's awesome.
And
You
the language we can use around it can be very, subjective from the individual as well, and can also apply to like certain parts of the process. Something that came up, with the knee surgery that I had, and I even just now avoided saying my knee surgery. Yes, it's my knee, the knee that I have, but I didn't perform the surgery. It was performed upon me.
yeah.
But I definitely make a strong effort to refrain from saying things like my bad knee. It would be very easy for me to say. I had my first of, like 4 knee operations when I was like 14 years old. So, it would be very easy for me to default into a place of saying that I've got this bad knee that's been holding me back for 2/3 of my life.
Yeah.
But, and,
And
and, well played. I,
we're language nerds. Let's just put it out there.
yeah, and the language nerding was a huge part of my rehab and recovery.
Mhm.
So it's where we assign the ownership. I decided to assign the ownership to the rehab and recovery. That way I had a strong ownership of the process. At no point did I feel like recovery was happening to me or that I had to wait for someone else. I rehabbed and recovered my knee every day from the day I went home from the hospital.
Mm.
I didn't wait for negation of knowledge. I did not wait for physical therapists.
Right.
When I was given drills to do, I would do them every day. I would meditate on healing every day. I had mantras and affirmations built around my knee already being healed every day. Before I even went in for the surgery, I would meditate and say affirmations out loud to myself like, my knee is healed.
Yeah.
I am walking again. My leg is stronger than it has ever been. I have monster quads. And that's just me, like,
Yeah.
keeping myself engaged in the process because I think humor is also important in the process. And I have a significant degree of self-awareness around talking out loud to myself. I'm going to take ownership of that too. When I make mantras and affirmations, I absolutely indulge ones that make me smile and laugh. Like I have monster quads.
I love that. That may be your nickname for me to hear.
I cannot accept that because I don't have them yet. I'm still working on them. That's still a future affirmation I use. It's a work in progress. I will accept that nickname in maybe a year or so.
Okay, I'll make note it. Hold on a second. What is the date? Oh yeah, 3/19. I love it. Okay, I love it. And when you said it's where we assign ownership, boom. So true. I Yeah, personal responsibility is key. And I'm glad that you also, because a lot of people will say personal responsibility sounds like boring and just too
Mm,
tough. And
yeah,
you said adding the laughter, it reminded me of our Billy story, right? What was your Billy's name? What was your
Marcus.
Marcus?
Marcus. Yeah,
And how do you spell it? Marcus?
that's correct. Yes.
Okay, like the founder of On It.
Um,
Not to throw him on
well,
the
yeah,
spot.
I mean, I guess yes. He was not an influence in that. Marcus was. I chose that name specifically because of Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher, as well as someone who I don't want to name, who I
Okay.
who I know in my personal life who I don't like very much.
Yeah.
I've of course named them and already said their name is Marcus. I
Yeah.
won't I won't give their surname, but
We
yeah.
caught that dad joke. We caught that. Where's Kristen? I'm gonna tag you in this one. Throw some dad jokes right back at Jeffrey. I love it. Yeah, mine was a Melinda, and that was the name of our GPS in our last car because she was just crazy, crazy.
That's hilarious.
Turn left in 2 miles was like turn left in like 3 feet or something. She was not. She would get us lost
Yeah,
most of the time. Most
yeah.
of the time. So
But that does sound like a great name then for an inner voice because ultimately that's what our inner voices will do is they'll try to get us to the right place, but they're going to give us a really convoluted path to get there.
yes, I love it. And then and especially in Manhattan, forget it. She would go nuts. Like it would be like we're in the Hudson River. Like we're not in the Hudson River. I'm in land. What are you talking about, Melinda? Although my niece, I gotta say a cool story. She was like 4 years old. We took her to see the Nutcracker somewhere in Jersey, and she didn't trust Uncle Jimmy's sense of directions because we couldn't find the theater. And so she goes, you should see her. She's in the bag. Her feet are like twiggling because she's so tiny and small. She goes, Uncle Jimmy, do you know where you're going? And then a second she said that, Melinda goes, in half a mile, make left. And she goes, oh, it's okay. Melinda knows where she's going. And I was like, oh, you just got this by your 4-year-old niece about your sense of direction. And speaking of knees, your daughter, Isla, is so adorable. How old is she?
True, she is. She is. Scientifically has been proven to be the most adorable 18-month-year-old baby that there is.
18. You're so a dad. I don't know what that is. Okay, that's 12. That's a year. So that's
One 1.5 years, 7 days. So
so her birthday was last week.
her 18-month birthday was, yeah.
How adorable. Oh yeah, for 18. What am I talking? Yeah, I celebrate whatever we throw out there. That is so cute. Okay, I love it.
Every
And
every day with her is worth celebrating. Yeah.
exactly. You and I were talking before our interview about the word stay-at-home dad. Where I was talking about mom entrepreneurs. What's it called? Dad entrepreneurs? How would
Dad,
you call that? What's the
how would
name
I call
for
that?
you?
Well, I've got a term that I like to use. I don't know if it's youth developer friendly, so I might
Oh, I see. Yeah.
it's bad dad.
You follow TikTok or any? There's actually a guy who's called Bat, as in BAT, Bat Dad, and he
Bad
does.
dad. Okay, yeah, I've seen the bad dad on one of the other platforms, but
Gotcha.
I'm not on the TikTok yet.
Got it.
I haven't gone down that rabbit hole. I got enough rabbit holes to dive down.
No, you're doing great in Instagram, and I love all the pictures that you put with her. We'll probably throw some pictures in here. One of my favorite ones. You think he's gonna pick up Steel Mace?
I think she already has.
Mm.
Um, Quite literally, she has picked one up before.
Wait, really?
Strong. She's a strong little girl. I'm very proud. But so she doesn't come into this room very often. But when she does, one of the first things she'll do is go towards any weight or anything that's on the ground. So I don't know if you probably can't see it, but there is a mace right back down here on the ground. And earlier she did walk in and went over by the globe, the heavy part. This, if you were going to pick it up, that's the piece that you would need to pick up. And sure enough, did like this little baby like deadlift and like pick it up. And it was difficult for her. She put it right back down, but she has picked it up.
A 10 pound?
What's that?
It was a 10 pound.
It was a 10 pound. Yeah.
How much does she weigh?
That's a great question. I mean, that was at least a third of her body weight. Yeah, no, she's impressively strong. But I mean, she didn't hold it for very long. She put it right back down. She does have a toy mace that she's had even since before she was born. So we are indoctrinating her. The process has begun.
I love it. And so does that mean that your wife also does Steel Mace or no? Just you?
She does, yeah. Since we've had the kids, she hasn't been able to train with me as much as she was prior. But to give that a little perspective, the day that we went to the hospital to have Isla, I have video of my wife doing 360s with a mace the same morning that we started the birth process.
What? Do you have a picture of that?
I've got video on my phone, yeah.
That is super mom. Yes. The day of Isla's birth.
Well, it wasn't the day of birth. It was the day we went into the hospital.
Okay.
We were in the hospital
Probably.
for I think almost 48 hours before she was born.
That's 9 month pregnant woman with the Steel Mace.
Yeah.
That is
We were doing good 360s too, good form.
Yeah, that's inspiring. That's very inspiring because many people will make excuses of working out. Or, I mean, come on, you're 9 months pregnant. I mean, I do know people who have worked out, but at 9 months.
So this was a pro move that we didn't know that we were making, but I'm going to tell anyone out there who's carrying around a baby right now,
Right.
Stay in the gym, keep working, do lots of squats. Change your level a lot. And there's a long-term reason for this that has proved to be a lifesaver for us. So, like I said, my wife was training the entire time she was pregnant. You've trained with me. I love to change levels. I like to make people do lots of squats. I want all my friends to have nice butts.
Yeah. Thank you, by the way.
You got it, man. Looking out for everybody. Everyone. I got to stop talking like this. I'm sorry.
You're good.
Maybe the wrong platform. But we discovered very early on after birth that if I held Isla when she was fussing and I started to do squats with her, it stopped the fussing. It stops the crying. I have video evidence, and this still works. Now, for me, it's gotten more challenging. She's gotten heavier. So it's a progressive load increase, which is really cool. But the baby squats have been a lifesaver. And our running theory is that because Nicole stayed active during pregnancy and did a lot of squats, Isla was very used in utero to moving up and down.
That's
So this,
awesome.
so now I hold her and we do baby squats and it stops the crying.
There is a dad in TikTok who has his own trick, and that's gonna be you when you decide to go to rabbit hole down TikTok, or if you want to do it in Instagram Reels. That works because she's about to cry and he starts crying. And she looks at him like, "Why are you crying? I'll stop crying, dude. Just I'll stop because you seem like you need some comfort." So I'm looking at yours about Isla about to cry and you do some squats. It's gonna be great. Oh my goodness. Yes. I would want to be part of this video.
Yeah.
I love to use it as a commercial for the youth development. That'll be
By
so
all means.
adorable. Okay. Hashtag baby squats.
Baby squats. Yep.
That's it. That's it. Well, Jeffrey, I mean, it's been a blast chatting, sharing, whatever word was going to come out. Chatting and sharing. And I appreciate you talking about the journey. And it's not only Steel Mace, it's a journey of a few words that you said, which was practice and discipline. And thank you for talking to us about it's where we assign ownership. And we are enlifted brother and sisters, so of course, and we've been in level 1, 2, and 3. So I heart you. You're my coach. I'm getting my squats done. I'm getting my workout done. And I'm really enjoying the group. I mean, doing it with Jimmy, doing the couple was fun. However, getting our schedules was, driving us insane. And I'm type A and he's a hippie. And so he was just like, check, get off my back. And then when I told him I was joining the group, he's like, "Oh, Jeffrey dumped me." I was like, "No, you dumped Jeffrey."
You know what? We're going to do another, and I'll talk about this for a second.
Yeah, please.
Because the beginner group that we're running right now, this is a bit of a beta test. I put together an 8-week program specifically designed for people who want to work with the Steel Mace, but were maybe intimidated about jumping into like a Steel Mace Flow level 1 certification or into more advanced group classes. So we wanted to get a low intimidation, easy access entry point. And I've been really happy with how it's going so far. So when we finish up this 8-week program that we're on, maybe a little bit before, we'll see self-talk acknowledged. I got to, see what time opens up and what this level lies, but we'll be putting together another beginner group. So, Jimmy will still have a chance.
Jimmy,
come back to me. My heart is not closed to him yet.
You're from the 90s. What's a song about "Come Back to Me"? Come back to me, I'm begging. That's like really R&B. I'm totally R&B.
Yeah, I was. I'm a rocker, so I didn't catch a lot of the R&B in the 90s. I was. So
you and I would not have been friends in high school. No, we would have been friends.
We could have been friends.
We could have been friends. What year did you graduate?
What's that?
What year did you graduate?
1996.
I did ask you that. Okay, so you graduated the same year as my sister. Wow, look at that. Yeah, I'm older. I graduated in 94. But then again, I skipped a grade.
Then we would have been friends because all my friends were older.
Jimmy likes to say, if we would have dated back in the day, I would have been in middle school because I'm older than I would have been like, my high school chick is coming to pick me up. See ya. So I was like, yeah, no, that would have never happened. Never. All right. Well, Jeffrey, thank you for spending your time visiting us, sharing your journey, sharing your wisdom. You are very wise, my friend, and I'm so happy that you are a part of our world here. You were there in our 4-year celebration for this channel, and did you know that we hit 100 subscribers?
Congratulations.
Yes.
Celebrate the victory. Celebrate the win.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Matt Walworth is our last interview, and he talked about deloading and celebrating.
Oh,
So,
cool. Cool.
yeah, we're going to celebrate 100, 250, 500, 1,000, 5,000, and so on. So, thank you for being part of it. Are you a subscriber, Jeffrey?
I believe so. If I'm not, I will make sure that I am very, very quickly.
Well, thank you for being part of our first 100.
Hey,
You're
thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it very much.
Jeffrey, thank you so much. See you next time.
Cheers.